name is Grace Cisna. I'm the CPA on staff with ProjectionHub, and today I wanted to take a little time to walk you through our Software as a Service Enterprise Software Excel template. Our Enterprise Software Excel template differs from our regular Software as a Service template in that the Enterprise Software template is designed for companies that are selling software to other businesses, especially large businesses, where our regular Software as a Service template assumes that you're selling to individuals or to small businesses. So that's the key difference that you'll see in the revenue model. Before we dive in, I wanted to point out some features of all of our Excel templates that we sell here at ProjectionHub. First of all, when you open up this template, you're going to see two orange tabs on the left. One is instructions. The second is the investor dashboard, which I'll talk about a little bit at the end. And then there are several light blue tabs. And these are the input tabs where you're going to be inputting information that the model will then take, put through some calculations and output into financial statements at the end of the model. On the input tabs, you're going to see cells in that same light blue color, and that's showing you areas where you need to provide information. You're going to see example data in there for you. That's just to kind of guide you on how to format the data. It's not necessarily industry standards or recommended items. Sometimes there are notes in the files that show you where there are industry standards. I also wanted to point out, if this template looks great to you but doesn't quite match your business, we're happy to modify it for you. Again, my name is Grace. I've developed all of these templates. So you can reach out to me at support@projectionhub.com, and I would be happy to modify this template to make it work better for your business, or I can help you fill it out if you're having some trouble doing that or just don't have the time to do it on your own. All right, so diving into our first tab here, this is our input assumptions tab, where you can input some basic assumptions, such as your company name, the projection start date, and then a lot of balance sheet assumptions. So the investment amount, the fixed assets, accounts receivable terms, inventory assumptions, and then any amounts for your loans. So you're going to be plugging this information here on this tab, and then our template will be calculating your depreciation expense and your loan interest expense behind the scenes, so you don't have to do that for it to show up on your income statement. Our next tab is the revenue and cost of sales tab. So this is where the bulk of the work goes into the template. So in the enterprise software model, we're assuming you're doing most of your sales through sales representatives. So at the top, we've got sales representatives here, and we're showing how those sales representatives gain customers through inbound and outbound leads. We then boil that down to total customers. And we also sort of separate out the customers by how many years they've been a customer, as that helps us sort of decide how much they're going to be spending each year. Once we figured out our total customers, we're going to go down to our services revenue. So this is the software fees that your customers are paying. So we've got average monthly fee here. We've got any direct costs that are that you have to pay for each customer that you have. Those can go in here as well. The model will calculate those out for you. And then it has you decide the way that customers are going to purchase depending on which year they are in their customer sort of life story, how many years they've been a customer. So for example, in the first year, 35%, you're assuming 35% of customers are purchasing level 1 subscription or paying at that level 1, 30 at level 2, 20% at level 3, and et cetera. And you can see that the mix kind of shifts throughout the 5 years of the model. So we boil that down to our software revenue and also calculate sort of the direct costs of providing that software to the customer. In addition to software revenue, we also have a customization revenue. So if you're customizing the software for your clients, for your customers, there is an input box here for you to input how much your average customer is spending on customization in each year as a customer. In addition, there's also an area where you can put the labor expense of doing that customization for them. So this boils down to our total revenue and our total cost of sales, all those direct costs, and those get shipped off to the financial statements, and you'll see them as we get to the output tabs later on. The next tab is the input other expenses tab. So this is your operating expenses other than your cost of sales and your salaries, which are both calculated on different tabs. Some notes about this tab. So first of all, you're able to calculate your operating expenses in two different ways. The first of which is just setting them at a fixed amount each month. You can see you can change them. That fixed amount can change for months 1, 2, and 3, and then it's set for months 4 through 12, and then you can set it each year after that. And that's just so you don't have to input the expense for all 60 months, but we did want to break out the first 3 so you can get any of your startup costs in there. So you can use the fixed method, or you can also calculate your cost as a percentage of total revenue. as we've shown here, the credit card fees. So if your customers are paying with credit cards, the credit card companies are going to take a small portion of that. And so in order to show that, we're calculating our our cost as a percentage of total revenue. And then we're going to enter 0.02 for 2%. In addition, I showed down here, commissions are calculated as a percentage of software revenue. So essentially anything other than fixed is going to be calculating as a percentage of that line of revenue. And then we show you either total revenue or one of the two different lines of revenue. A note about using that percentage of revenue function, make sure you're putting your percentages in the 0.02 or 0.11 format and not 11 or 2. Otherwise, it's going to be calculating at 200% of revenue. So if you get to your income statement and some of your expenses look too high, jump back to this tab and see if that is the reason why. The last input tab is salaries and owner draw. Owner draw could also be called dividends. So we've got the customer service reps. Their numbers are calculated already on the input revenue and cost of sales tab. So here you set their annual salaries. Note we also calculated their commissions on the other expense. So this is just sort of their base salary amount here. And then any other salaried employees will go on here. You can create multiple employees by changing this column here. So you don't have to enter employees more than once if they're identical. So that is our salaries tab. From there, I'll jump over to our output tab. So the first output tab is this at a glance tab. This has some pretty charts and graphs and some nice ratios, everything that's pretty much ready to be pulled out and put into your pitch deck. And again, contact us if you need any other sort of graphs and charts, and we'd be happy to get those for you. All right, the next three tabs are our pro forma financial statement summary. So we have a pro forma income statement, cash flow statement, and balance sheet. And these are the summaries, so they're showing at the year end for each of the 5 years in the model. Very standard, easy to read format, pretty much ready to be handed over to investors or to a bank. From there, we have the same three pro forma financial statements, except for now we're breaking it out by month. So again, if your investors or your bank want to see it in a month by month way, or if you want to see it that way, because it's helpful, we've got that on here for you. So all three financial statements again. Just to note, our balance sheet's always balanced. That's a big part of any financial projections, is getting your financial statements to all work together. And balancing a balance sheet is very time consuming, but we've put in the time for you. That way you don't have to. So all you're going to have to do is fill out those input tabs and our balance sheet is going to balance for you. So it's going to be a lot faster. All right, I promised to jump over to the investor dashboard. So here we are. The investor dashboard is a way to change some of the major assumptions of the model without it actually rolling through into the rest of the file. So essentially, this is a good way to look at different scenarios. We call it the investor dashboard because it's helpful to give this to investors and they can play with the different assumptions and see how sensitive the model is to those various assumptions. So here you'll see what the regular model has for these various assumptions, such as total customers. And then in blue here, you or your investor can change those numbers and see how it affects the income statement. You'll see below we've got the original income statement, which is just essentially a copy of the income statement summary using the categories from the Input Other Expenses tab. And then the modified income statement, which in this case is identical, but if we change some of these assumptions up here, changing our number of customers, you'll see that software revenue has increased over the original income statement. So it's going to change this modified income statement based on your updated assumptions. So that is a brief overview of our enterprise software template for our software as a service model. If you have questions, please reach out to us at support@ProjectionHub.com and we'd be happy to help.